Today, I'd like to talk to you about COVID. Insert dramatic pause, safety on set. I know you're tired of hearing the word COVID or coronavirus. In fact, I joked to myself that it'd be fun to make a drinking game out of it and just carry a flask around with you. And every time you hear one of the words, you just take a shot. But then you'd be wasted very quickly in that day. So let's get off of the drinking game of life and back into filmmaking and COVID safety. So I know a lot of vaccines and stuff are rolling out, and some areas are allowing filming and some areas are not allowing filming. And even the areas that are allowing filming are still want safety on set when it comes to coronavirus prevention. So I've been lucky enough to work on a few projects over the past year, some of them micro budget projects and some of them actually big budget projects. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do here is just kind of share some of those experiences, so that way if you are working on a production of some type, you want to be somewhat safe, because nobody wants to be that producer or director that gets people sick from coronavirus. Here's some tips, and try to be as close to the bigger budget ones as you can while still maintaining whatever budget you have. So let's start with just a small budget, a micro budget film. A couple that I went on, basically what they did is prior to the production, they sent out a safety questionnaire basically saying, hey, do you have coronavirus? Do you have a temperature? That kind of stuff. Have you been around anyone with coronavirus? You sign it. It's kind of a waiver check for them to say, hey, look, we asked. But what they also did on the sets was pretty good, where all of the crew, anyone who's not on camera, had their masks on the whole time. And even those of us who were on camera, what they would do is we'd be wearing a mask when not filming, and then when the cameras are rolling, you take your mask off. So it's kind of a little bit of a safety set, in the sense of can't be perfectly safe in that scenario, but you can be safer. They also did things where, like, if anyone didn't need to be in an enclosed area, they tried to create space and that type of stuff. So it was the best they could do with that set. Also, depending on where you are, there might be requirements about having a COVID safety person, a person on set who's responsible for making sure people are wearing masks, people are washing their hands or using antibacterial cleaner on their hands, that type of thing. One of those sets did have that person, the other set did not. Next step up is kind of one with a budget, but not a super huge budget, and they were mostly safe. So these are the sets where they can actually afford COVID testing prior to the shoots. So this one, what they did was they had me go in, let's say the filming was on, I want to say the filming was on a Monday or a Tuesday. So they had me go in the Tuesday prior for a COVID test and the Thursday prior for a COVID test. And they also said that they were going to do a quick test on the Monday or Tuesday before filming, which they actually did not do, which was kind of a pain, because the reality is from Thursday till the filming day, you potentially could have got COVID. So that was the downside of that one. They also, the person doing the COVID test didn't seem very safe. The Tuesday person, he actually kept the same gloves on from the person before me until me. And so it's like if that person before me had COVID, he touched the swab that then went down the throat and up the nose, put it in its swab thing, wearing the same gloves, and then touched me again. As far as I know, nobody on that set got COVID, by the way. Could have been safer, but it's one of those paying for quality of checks. But it was nice that they actually did the checks. On the day of the shoot, they did have a COVID safety person on set who was responsible for making sure people were wearing masks, and then all the PAs and everybody else on set was also, if they saw anyone without a mask on, they'd say something. Cast, once again, if you were on camera doing a scene, you had to have your mask off. And then as soon as the scene stopped, you'd put your masks back on. They also had another problem where a lot of people, the cast and stuff, like the spaces where people weren't very spacious. So the rooms where we were kind of staying in, or not the rooms that we were in, but the set, most of the cast and stuff had to stay either upstairs or downstairs when filming wasn't happening. And they were kind of in closed spaces. So that was another one of those, well, if somebody in one of these closed spaces, even with the masks, still might have a problem. So That's your middle of the road set. They also did something interesting is they sent out a online questionnaire prior. So this was similar to that paper one that the smaller budget ones did, but it was a little bit higher in the fact that it was a website. So you click on the link and then it goes in and asks you questions like, have you been around anyone with COVID? Do you have a fever? That kind of stuff. So you submit it. And then on the day of the shoot, you kind of show them proof that you don't. Another one that I think they went a little bit overboard, a little too far down the paranoid route. And this was because it was a major production and it had major stars on it. I was working as an extra on this one. How they did it was kind of nice though, in the sense of safety. So you did your COVID test like the Tuesday before, you did your COVID test the Thursday before. I think filming was on Saturday. But what they also did was a rapid test Saturday morning. So as soon as you showed up at like 7 in the morning, they swab you and then they put you in a holding area. And what was nice about this holding area, it was on a studio, so it was a large studio building. And what they did is they had tables set up, individual tables. So I had my table, my chair, which was spaced between anyone around me, so that way I wasn't interacting with any other people. They also had nice tea and coffee, which was good too. But anyway, so I could actually just sit there and not interact with people. And even though we were sitting there, they still wanted us to wear our masks and stuff. And they also had us wear the paper mask on our face and then one of the clear screen masks as well. So it was like safety on safety. And then when we got the results back from the rapid tests, we could actually go to the shooting. One other thing that they did is they broke their crew up into teams. So they had like team A, team B, and they kept those separated. So let's say somebody in the crew got diagnosed with COVID, that whole crew could be set to quarantine or whatever they needed to do, while still the other crew could work and film. So that was definitely like above and beyond on the safety aspect. I think the one that I found did the best though was similar to that one in the sense of COVID tests in advance, keeping everybody separated, separate spaces within the shoot. And the nice thing about that one as well is that it was outdoors. So with that one, even though you're around people, you still got that air coming through it, whereas the previous one was indoors. But like I said, they did have those extra mask layers. So depending on the production budget of what you have, you kind of got to try to find that middle ground. You know, the questionnaire or the little app and stuff that you got to click on and then answer the couple questions about if you got a temperature, if you've been diagnosed with COVID. That's kind of messed up in the sense that, like, I mean, a person could just say, no, I don't have a temperature. What? I haven't been around anybody with COVID. Hopefully, if they actually have COVID, they wouldn't be going to the set anyways. But, you know, those kind of things that help cover the production to say, well, at least we asked, but they're also kind of pointless. But the COVID tests were good. Another problem was I had overlapping of the larger productions, and it was kind of annoying because I had to take a test on a Tuesday for one production while also taking a test later that Tuesday for another production. And it's like, it would be nice if they had some method of sharing information so that way they could say, go to a site or whatever where they input the information and say, this person took their test on such and such day, these are the results. So the other place could be like, okay, I see that he's done the test here, it was yesterday, he's clear, so let's not make him do another one. That's just kind of an opinion one. But as you see there's different levels of COVID safety. You know, try to find what works best for your film. Like I said, you don't want to be the project that gets somebody sick with coronavirus. So try to be as safe as you can be if filming is allowed in your area. And it is nice. I know a lot of people are complaining with businesses and stuff like, hey, I can't open my business. Well, I can't open my bar because you guys have got me shut down. But then this film is filming over here. They're allowed to do that. Well, you know, one, because they're being safe about it. And, you know, I don't know how safe some bars and restaurants were being. I personally remember over the last summer when restaurants were open, going into multiple restaurants and the waiter was not wearing a mask. Or they would do this thing where they'd come over to the table to take your order and then they'd pull the mask down so you could hear them. And it's like you're standing right next to me with your mask pulled down, talking to me so that you can hear me while also breathing on me after doing the same thing with any number of other people. So, you know, restaurants and bars, it's kind of your own fault that you got shut down. I know that's a dick thing to say, and I know a lot of you did actually follow protocols. So for those of you that did follow protocols, I'm sorry to you. It's like dog owners. I used to have a dog, and I used to get pissed because there were places I couldn't take my dog because some jackass would take their dog up there, let the dog shit all over the place, and then not clean it up, and they ruin it for everybody else. So some of these crappy bars and restaurants ruined it for everybody else. But that's a rant, completely unrelated to the purpose of this little informational. Be safe and get your vaccine. Don't buy into the whole vaccine conspiracy theories. Get vaccinated and get back to shooting. I'm certainly looking forward and hoping to get some more filming done this year as well. Goodbye.